Action.
Hey everyone, it's Chloe. Today we are back at Ambition Academy and we are going to show you how to adjust your grinder. You're gonna cut. For your espresso, you need to make sure that it is timed perfectly to extract all of the goodness and sweetness out of your coffee. If it's pouring too fast, it's going to taste sour. If it's pouring too slow, it's going to taste bitter and burnt. We want ours between 22 and 28 seconds, 25 being the perfect sweet spot. Over here we have our grinder. This is an on-demand grinder. Some have an extra compartment here that you grind into and dose out of. But this part is your hopper. This part is your gate. The metal part here is your collar. You've got your touch screen, and this part here is the chutes where your coffee grains come out of. First of all, we need to test where our espresso is currently running, and then we can adjust it from there. So we want 16 grams of coffee. Even if it's not on the right time, every time we adjust, we still want to test 16 grams of coffee. So you don't change too many variables at once. You only want to change one at once, which will be the grind size. This particular machine times it for us on the screen, or you can use your phone timer, but make sure you start the timer at the same time you press the button and stop it when your espresso stops pouring. We're currently on 15. This tells me the pour is too fast, so I'm going to make the grind finer. This adds more resistance to your coffee, which will slow the pour down. Give it a taste. Sour. So, on our collar here, most grinders will tell you which way to turn for coarser and finer. Universally, typically, but not on everyone, coarser is clockwise. So I remember that by CNC, coarser clockwise. So what I'm going to do to make my grind size finer, which is smaller, I'm going to turn it anti-clockwise. I have to make sure I get that right. Only one notch at a time. And when you adjust your grind size finer, you're moving your burrs closer together. So you have to do it whilst your grinder is grinding coffee. This stops any beans getting trapped in the burrs. So I've got a manual grind button here. Unscrew the locking pin. Make sure you hold on to your collar before you grind, otherwise the beans will push them really, really coarse. You have to hold on to them and keep them nice and still. So one notch fine. Lock it back in place. Grind off 2 shots worth and waste them. This allows any old coffee grounds that were the old grind size to be free from the chute, so you get a more accurate reading. So test the third one. And we'll see how it pours. So your espresso as it pours should look like a nice honey caramel consistency. You don't want it to just fall out. A bit slower. 26, happy with that. When you've achieved your desired shot time, which this is 26, that's almost bang on, 1 second off, you want to test it again twice just to make sure it's nice and consistent. Better. So you have to bear in mind that when you grind your coffee finer, it takes your grinder a longer time to do it. So you might find that your dose is less if you've changed your coffee grains to be much finer. Your grinder will be able to chop coarser much faster. So we always change the time at the end. If you have a on demand, always change the time at the end. Make sure that you weigh out every time your desired dose, which for us is 16 grams. If my shot time was over 28-30 seconds, I would make my grinder coarser, and on this one it is clockwise, For this one, you don't have to do it whilst it's grinding because you're moving your burrs further apart so you won't trap anything. If my grinder was too slow, I would move it 1 notch coarser, screw the pin back down, and again, test the third shot. So waste the first 2 off, test the third one, give it a taste. If it's right, test it 2 more times, make sure it's consistent, and that's it. Do you want me to do it? When it comes to dialing in your coffee, you just need to make sure that you fine tune it, so when you get close to where you want to be, you may need really, really tiny adjustments with your blades, and I'm talking millimeters, tiny adjustments at a time. Again, make sure that you're always timing the same dose of coffee, so always weigh out the same amount, in our case 16 grams, and time it. Make sure you give it a taste. If all of your variables are where they should be, so 16 grams, 25 seconds, but it still tastes bad, you're still going to need to fine tune some things. Of course, using fresh beans has a huge impact. Any stale beans will taste bitter and awful no matter how well you think you've poured your shot. So use your own judgment. Obviously, not everybody has the same model grinder that we do, but they all have the same concept. If you have a chamber as well for your ground coffee, just be aware that everybody in your cafe is using the same amount of pulls on your paddle. So I recommend 2 full pulls, and you can adjust the inner cog to give you more or less dose as well. Play around with it, make sure it tastes good, fine tuning, really small adjustments each time. Remember, it is best to waste some coffee and get it right than just to work with it and serve shots that are too fast. Definitely want to make sure that your coffee is the best that it can be, so dialing in is really, really, really important. Thank you for watching. If you do have any other questions, let us know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. We've got plenty more training videos coming up. Give this video a like, all the good stuff. See you in the next one.